You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
I'm now joined by restaurateur and presenter of MasterChef, Nick Munier. Nick, start by telling me about your long-standing relationship with Citroën, please.
Hi, yes, how are you? I'm very excited actually to be the brand ambassador because my grandfather had the old Citroën DS, you know, so for me as a child driving, sort of sitting in that car had a touch of nostalgia. It was amazing feeling. So each time I see that car I think of my grandfather. So I've always had that sort of love affair with the logo, the Frenchness of it all, and it was just amazing that obviously we met 2 years ago. Frederick came into the restaurant, we sat down, we had a 2-hour lunch, we discussed things, and we were talking about the love of Citroën, and just came from there really. And so I've been a customer all my life, so yeah, I'm really happy to be part of the whole brand. Again, it's very sporty, it suits my personality as well. I'm currently driving the DS4, it's very comfortable, it's very elegant. You
being a brand ambassador for Citroën seems like an absolutely natural fit. I'd like to talk a little bit about your career. You started off as a commie waiter. Tell me a bit about how you got into that.
Yeah, well, my parents had a hotel in England, and sort of my parents dissuaded me from going into the business, but it was a natural thing for me because I used to serve breakfast before going to school, and I did my national service in France, came out and needed a job, so I went to work for the Roux brothers. Currently, I started as a chef, but I enjoyed all these elegant women in the restaurant, so I decided to go front of house, and that's what I've got the love affair of serving people and sort of working in a restaurant environment. So, and then from that it just stemmed into being a head waiter. It was just a natural progression, and then worked for Marco Pierre White for 12 years, who then went on to TV to do Hell's Kitchen, and he asked me to be his head waiter because he needed somebody to trust. So it all escalated and being at the right time at the right moment. So, but I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's just been amazing. So I then came to Ireland to take a sabbatical from him because he's a bit crazy guy, and so I fell in love with an Irish woman, as you do, and then decided to open my own restaurant in 2009. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, Marco Pierre, tell me, what was it like working with him?
He was a fair boss, very good boss. He was the best boss I've ever had. But again, you had to give 110% every day. So it was very hard, very difficult, but everyone was there for a purpose. So we're striving to get a 3-star status, 3-star Michelin, which we achieved within 3 years. And it was just one of those moments where it was an amazing time in restaurants. And fine dining was at its height in the sort of 70s, 80s. And it was a brilliant time. What
would you say you learned from him during that experience?
What I learned was the customer satisfaction, that they had to be looked after, that the minest of detail was very, very important, and that people wanted to be spoken to in a nice way, that the food was very important to them, but it was the whole sort of the atmosphere, the whole package deal of a restaurant is what I learned from him.
Be well known from Hell's Kitchen, you then went on to MasterChef. The success of that show has been phenomenal here locally and across the country. What do you think the secret ingredient to that show has been?
Yeah, we're blessed because we tried to sort of make it Irish, obviously, because it's a massive worldwide brand, and so we were very nervous that we had to sort of make it Irish as possible. So it wasn't contrived. Myself and Dylan, we got on very well as friends before the show, and I think it was that yin and yang, if you like. He was the bad cop, I was the good cop, if you like. So we sort of utilised our knowledge to the best of our abilities, and that made sure that the food that we tasted was judged correctly, as opposed to it being whatever, contrived or just for TV cameras. It wasn't about that. It was about showcasing what the talent we have in Ireland and how good it is.
You started a restaurant in Dublin in 2009, Pichet, which has been very, very successful since then. How beneficial has the TV brand been in relation to promoting the restaurant?
Very good question. I mean, I think, like anything, any business that you have, it's about awareness and brand awareness. So I knew that the TV medium was very, very important. But it doesn't mean that, if you do go on TV and you showcase something that you do, you have to make sure that your own business, that your own product is good enough to sustain it. Because what happens is that people then come into your restaurant. If it's not good that what you're offering, they're going to slate you very quickly. So you have to make sure that you can stand on your 2 feet and say, okay, I'm going to go on TV, but my own business is secure and is good, because otherwise, what's the point?
Dublin is a very competitive market from a restaurant perspective, and TripAdvisor seems to have no problem with criticising anyone in terms of those that are using it. What are your thoughts on TripAdvisor, firstly?
I don't believe in it myself. I think that everyone thinks they're an expert when they're not necessarily an expert, but it gives the ability to give people a voice when they should be talking to the restaurateur or the business owner before going away and writing what they think they should be writing. I don't think it's fair to a restaurateur, because then it gets into that sort of bad situation.
And in relation to the TripAdvisor itself, would you read the reviews on TripAdvisor and learn anything from them?
I read TripAdvisor every day, and I do take some things on board, because obviously I'm not in my business every day, but we do discuss complaints if there is a complaint, but it's a very very small minority of complaints that we get, but you do have to listen to those things, and sometimes good feedback is very important to move the business forward.
You'd be an iconic character to an awful lot of our listeners this morning that would own restaurants across County Wexford. What advice would you give to them with running their restaurants in a tough economic climate?
Well, that's like anything, you have to, so obviously you can't rest on your laurels, you have to work every day really hard, as I'm sure everyone does, but ultimately it's watching your wage costs, which is a huge thing for us, and then weighing everything. When you get your goods in, like fish, meat, make sure that they're weighed correctly and that what you're purchasing is the correct items. Because what happens is sometimes when you're so busy, things were coming through the back door, and the suppliers could be taking shortcuts. So you have to be very, very aware of that.
Apart from the TV brand, what else have you done to promote the restaurant in Dublin?
What have I done? Well, I do a lot with charities. I think charity is very, very important as well, because you have to give something back as well. And also, radio shows, newspapers. What
would you say the competitive advantage of your own restaurant is in Dublin?
What I think we offer is value for money, a good product, comfortable surroundings, and again I go to that whole package deal. It has to be what people want when they come in the door, so you have to analyse what the customers want and deliver that in a good atmosphere.
There's lots of different types of restaurant out there. You've gone for more of a brasserie type approach. Would I be right by saying that?
It's funny, when I started I wanted it to be sort of like a chef's shack so that everyone could enjoy themselves, but because of our backgrounds it's evolved into something much bigger. So we had to call ourselves a modern take on a classic bistro, almost as an insurance policy, because what's happening is that people expect us now to be sort of fine dining when we're not fine dining. We offer a fine dining service, but in relaxed surroundings.
What are your plans as Citroën ambassador?
Well, my role is to basically talk about how good the brand is. We're going to showcase the DS3 outside the restaurant in Pichet. And I just want to have that marriage of what we're delivering as a product as to what Citroën can deliver as a product. And I think the two brands marry very, very well together. And that's very, very important for us to feel comfortable in what we're doing, and we can move forward.
Well, Nick, it's been a very insightful interview. Many thanks for coming in and speaking to us this morning, and I wish you continued success.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.